Capacity is not stamina. If capacity were the same thing as stamina, the most burnt out people in the world would be the most successful. Capacity is the amount of complexity, responsibility, emotion, and uncertainty you can handle without breaking down, panicking, or abandoning yourself.
Hello, business owners, and welcome back to the podcast. Today I have Alyssa Harris with us. Alyssa is an astrologer, coach, an amazing human being. I've been working with Alyssa since last year, and she has so many little gems, so many little mic drop moments. And one of those mic drop moments happened for me when we were talking about capacity and growing my capacity. And I scribbled down these notes and I shared it with my clients later. And they were like, wait. Can you post those notes in the community so we can refer back? Like, they had questions. So I wanted to bring Alyssa on to really go deep into talking about capacity, why it's so important for business owners, what it is, how we can grow it, all of the things, and then share her 4-pillar system. So before we go into all of that, Alyssa, welcome. Will you do a little introduction? Give us some of your backstory. Who are you? Where did you come from? What do you do? All of that good stuff.
Absolutely. So hi, everyone. My name is Alyssa. I am the founder of the Karuna Lab, which is my business. So I work with high functioning entrepreneurs and professionals who are really good at life. Like, they've won some type of game. Some of them have won the relationship game. Some of them have won the money game, but they still feel like there's a bottleneck. There's something missing so they can get to that next level. And they're trying to find what's missing and get it out of the way. That's what I help them do using astrology as a diagnostic tool. I really help you understand your patterns, the identity or the hidden identities that are driving decisions and why you're getting the results that you're getting and how you can change that. So my signature program is called U-Shaped Life. I'm very passionate about helping people create a U-shaped life, right? A them-shaped life, so to speak. And I am a mom. I'm a wife. My capacity and the framework that you're about to hear actually came out of me being a special needs mom and having to grow my capacity to be able to handle all of the things that come with being a special needs mom. So it comes from a place of love, and I am so happy to be able to share it with you today.
One thing too, I want to point out, because I told my friends I'm working with an astrology coach. And they're like, what is that like? That's like woo-woo and weird. And you're like, not that woo-woo. What's going on? And what I love about you, Alyssa, is you have an engineering background, and you're very, like, we talk about astrology, but it's not like the center of our conversations. Maybe it is for you, like on the back end, you're looking at the stuff, but we're just chit-chatting, and you make everything so literal and actionable and concrete, and like you use a lot of metaphors from nature, and I'm like, it's like, I love it. Very practical person, so it's really hitting my brain.
Same. I like to call it practical mysticism. I'm like, if it doesn't, that's why I love those nature analogies and things, because I'm like, you're already living it, you already see it, and so it kind of clicks in and it feels more real than like, if you close your eyes and say the affirmation 46 times, you'll manifest, your dream life. I'm like, I'm not your girl, if that's what you're looking for. I'm very, like Gina said, practical. I do have a computer science background, so I'm all about systems thinking. And that's really how I think. I'm like, okay, where in the system is this breaking down? What systems are you a part of? What systems are you a part of that you don't like being a part of? Like, we break all of that down.
So I invite you listeners, if you're like, I don't like astrology, that's not for me, suspend disbelief for the rest of this episode, because whether you believe, I've even said this to Alyssa before, I'm like, I don't actually know if I believe in astrology, like, but that's irrelevant, because what we're working on and what you're teaching is helpful, whether you believe in astrology or not. So just put that aside and let's dive in. Okay, Alyssa, first, what the hell is capacity?
Okay, so bringing in a little astrology, I also have a saying, you might not believe in astrology, but astrology believes in you. I say it to Gina all the time. So let's talk about, as a mercurial ruled person, which means you either are a Gemini or Virgo rising. You can find that out on the internet. anywhere pretty much. Just put in your birthday. But with Mercury ruled chart, I love definitions. I love words. I love wordplay. So let's start with what capacity isn't. Capacity is not stamina. And this is where a lot of people get kind of confused. They confuse capacity for stamina, but you can have a ton of stamina and not have hardly any capacity, right? You can have a gallon of stamina and a teaspoon of capacity. If capacity were the same thing as stamina, the most burnt out people in the world would be the most successful, because they have the stamina to like keep going through the exhaustion. So, and we know that's not true, right? I'm sure you can think of a burnt out person right now that is like not doing well. So it's to use a metaphor, like Gina said, I live for metaphors. It's someone who can do 6 hours of admin work. You know, you can sit down and write the emails and do the P&L and all the things, but you can't handle an emotional coaching call. Like that would be an example of high stamina, low capacity.
Okay. So that is what it is, not stamina.
It's not stamina.
I like this. I wrote down stamina equals keep going through the exhaustion. And that's like a very, like, you can think of like a marathon runner, right? Like, I'm going to keep running even though my joints are screaming and even though I'm tired. And in business, that can look like I'm going to keep going even though I'm like really tired, or even though it's 2:00 in the morning, or even though I've been staring at the screen and my eyes are burning. So that's not capacity. So what is capacity?
So my working definition of capacity is the amount of complexity, responsibility, emotion, and uncertainty you can handle without breaking down, panicking, or abandoning yourself.
I love it. Okay. Complexity. Let's break down each part.
Complexity is when you have 1,000 balls in the air. You know, you work with a lot of business owners, so maybe they are hiring, maybe they have to fire someone, maybe they're in the middle of a launch. Like there are a bunch of different things going on. How do you handle that, right? How do you handle complexity?
Projects on your plate.
Yes.
Okay, so responsibility. So I can handle a lot of complexity. I can handle a lot of responsibility. What is that?
So that would look like, let's say you are moving is very stressful for me, just FYI. So let's say you're in the middle of a launch and you're moving and your child is vomiting at school. So you have to like either go pick them up or send to childcare, you know, so whoever does your childcare to go pick them up. So that would be an example of like, okay, there's a lot of balls in the air right now. What can I do? The way that I like to explain it to clients is handling complexity is being able to quickly and efficiently delineate the controllables from the non-controllables, because complexity gets away from you when you're trying to control non-controllables.
Ooh. Complexity gets away from you when you're trying to control non-controllables. Yeah, because I could imagine going back to stamina, then you just rely on stamina to try and like manage it all. I have a term. Have I told you this? Like, I love the fuck it bucket.
Yeah.
Like shit gets thrown in the fuck it bucket real fast. And I came up with that when I was planning my wedding. Like as we got closer and closer to the wedding, I'm like, that's going in the fuck it bucket. That we're not doing that anymore.
You have to.
It's just all because you're running out of time. Right? Especially with the project. Okay. So I'm handling a lot of complexity. I'm handling a lot of responsibility. I'm handling a lot of emotion. So feelings in my body.
Right.
And uncertainty. Talk to us about just like, what is the definition of handling uncertainty?
Yeah. So uncertainty, I think going back to the kind of the controllables and non-controllables, a lot of times we're aiming for control because control is comfortable. So uncertainty inherently makes us uncomfortable. So it's about how many uncontrollables can you handle? How many things that are, again, completely out of your control? One of the things I say, and I say this to my mom all the time, there's 3 types of business. There's your business, other people's business, and God's business, right? And so how often are you in other people's business or God's business trying to control it? So being able to handle uncertainty would be being able to categorize those things as what they are, honestly, with integrity, and being okay with however, understanding that you can handle it. You're okay with however it comes out.
That's really been a thing for me is I love some control. I love control. I love controlling my business and God's business and everybody else's. And this shows up in my relationships, in my marriage, in my business. It like, and you know, here I am thinking like, I've built $1 million business. I have capacity. I can do this shit, but it'll find you. The work will find you. Okay. So capacity is being able to, it's like the quantification of how much of all of that you can handle without fragmenting, panicking, or abandoning yourself.
Yes.
Talk about that.
So self-fragmentation, and this kind of leans into a psychological framework called parts work. So a very general overview of parts work would be you are made up of a bunch of different Ginas. You're not a mono Gina. You're like, there's 20-year-old Gina, there's 5-year-old Gina in there. There's, 30-year-old Gina. There's Gina who was pregnant. There's Gina postpartum. Like all the Ginas are in there. And so sometimes when one of those Ginas gets the bullhorn and gets really loud, the rest of the Ginas will just like lock her in a closet. Like we can't with that right now. So that's what I mean by
her, they go,
yes, they're just like, stop, not right now. So that's what I mean by fragmentation. It's like you can feel a part of you, or you can feel that you're having thoughts about wanting to do something different, for the situation to be different. But instead of comforting yourself in that moment, you just push it away, compartmentalize it, which a lot of people pride themselves on their ability to compartmentalize, but eventually those chickens come home to roost. So that's what I mean by fragmenting.
And then panicking or abandoning yourself.
Yes. Abandoning yourself it was my go-to, got very good at it. It was kind of like, okay, the difference between abandoning yourself and fragmenting is abandoning yourself, you just think that you can't have it. So it's almost like you're afraid to get your hopes up. You're afraid to try something new because you don't know, again, that uncertainty, you don't know how the outcome is going to be. There's a lot of shame around it. Like people who typically abandon themselves are also very shameful. They feel shame a lot. So yeah, abandoning yourself it's a brutal one, and it's something you don't necessarily, it's usually other people help you see it, because people who abandon themselves, again, speaking from experience, there's a lot of jealousy. There's a lot of like, why does this person get to do that? Why do they get to have the perfect life? Why is my life always like this? And so what really happened, comes up is that you've actually been abandoning yourself. I also see it with clients where they're expecting someone else, like usually a romantic partner, to not abandon them or to make them feel the way only they can make them feel. So it's essentially like, make me feel useful, make me feel special, make me feel all of these things, when that call has to come from inside the house first.
Let me list my follow-up questions and then we can figure out the order.
Okay.
Follow-up question 1, why does this matter? Why do we need capacity? Follow-up question 2, how do you know if you have high capacity or low capacity? I'm guessing it's, if I'm doing all of those fragmenting, panicking, abandoning myself things, I probably have lower capacity than I need.
Yes.
Follow-up question 3, how do I know when I have to grow it? Follow-up question 4 is, it's kind of like, and then I'm going to ask you to help me organize all this, because my brain's exploding. I think that like as business owners, we understand inherently the value of stamina, but how do you understand that, like, what? Now you've given us the definition between stamina and capacity, but like when would I lean on one versus the other? When do I know, oh, in this scenario, I need more stamina versus in this scenario, I need more capacity? So where should we start? Alyssa? Okay. So
my brain is telling me, because of recency bias, I'm like, let's start with that last thing you said.
Okay. Let's do it.
Okay. So when do you need stamina versus when do you need capacity? Really great question. Capacity, well, let's start with stamina. Stamina is when you know that there's a hard thing that has to be done and you just need to push through. So it makes me think about the idea of stagnation. People think that, okay, I'm stuck, I'm stagnant. I get that a lot in client sessions. And stagnation, I think, happens because your current capacity hasn't caught up with your life. So that's kind of when okay, I need to boost my capacity, because all of these opportunities that are coming to me, I'm either not seeing them or I'm rejecting them because I don't feel like I'm worthy. I don't feel like it'll work. I don't feel like all the things, right? So you have all these excuses.
You can't handle the complexity, responsibility, emotion, or uncertainty.
Yes, there you go. Yes. Okay. And so you get a really bad case of the yeah buts.
Okay, so I can imagine, like in my world, stamina would be required when I have a client and I'm like, listen, I want to help you, but we just got to do your P&L. Yeah. We have to have the numbers, and there's an end date. Like, it'll be done. The task will be done, and then we'll be able to all move on.
Yes.
That's an example of needing stamina.
Yes. Yep. Like a race. Like, okay, I have to run like a marathon. I have to run these 26.2 miles. It will be over in 26.2 miles, and and then I can go eat a big bowl of spaghetti. Like that stamina.
All right. Now, capacity let's again bring it into my frame of like money and helping people with their money. When do I need capacity then?
So you as a coach or them as a client?
Them as a client.
Okay, so they would need capacity. So they need the stamina to just get the numbers, look at their P&L. Capacity comes in when that P&L is not saying what you want it to say. So we go back to that abandonment, of self-abandonment, right? The shame of like, oh my God, how did it get this bad? How was I this neglectful, right? Like dealing with the emotion, the complexity of my business is not doing well. And you may or may not have been fooling yourself and thinking that it was doing better than it was. But once you see the numbers, it's like, okay, so that would be a moment where you have to take a deep breath and increase your capacity because you are starting a little bit further behind than you thought.
That is so true. Because if I look at my P&L, or if I have a client and I'm looking at their P&L and it's like not looking good, it's usually highly complex. There's a lot of responsibility they feel. I feel responsible to my team to keep paying payroll. I feel responsibility to my spouse to keep paying myself and making an income. I feel responsibility to my kids. I feel responsibility to my debt collectors, or, whoever it is. I feel a lot of emotion because of all of that. And on top of all of that, slap the uncertainty of, will I be able to get out of this mess?
Exactly.
That's a lot.
Yes. Yes. And capacity has to come in because I say this a lot. Disruption follows intention. So you might see that P&L and you're like, okay, I want to fix it, but something's going to come up. Your kid at college is going to need a random $2,000 for whatever, your dog is going to get sick. You're going to have someone call out or someone quit. Something's going to happen because that's just how life goes. But that disruption that follows your intention to change, that's an invitation into increasing your capacity.
Okay. So going back to the language of my clients, whether a client can be successful or not within making it through to the other side of this, a lot of it has to do with increasing their capacity to handle all of this shit without panic. I mean, I talk about panic all the time in my coaching. I have a SOP for me and my coaches called How to Coach Panicked Clients. We have a 5 R's framework and it's a whole thing. So we're actually like, to this point, it's funny. I'm like, oh, we've been coaching on capacity. We just haven't been calling it that. So bring us into the 4 pillars of capacity. How do we increase our ability to handle all of this stuff so that we can do hard things or do the things that, hit the goals that we want to hit?
Yes, absolutely. So there are 4 pillars. Like Gina said, the first one is nervous system regulation. Second one, identity congruence. The third one is decision integrity. And the fourth one is emotional load management. So what I would always suggest to people is decide which one needs the most work. They might all feel like they need work, but there's one that's like screaming. So solve that one and then keep going down the line. And every time you solve one or every time you move into, every time you solve one or feel like, okay, I'm better with this one, you're increasing your capacity. So let's start with nervous system regulation. So it burns my biscuits. I'm from the South. So it burns my biscuits when someone says nervous system regulation is just being calm all the time. That's a lie. That is like pop spirituality, pop psychology, pop wellness. Don't believe it. Nervous system regulation is really about helping your body understand when you are safe and when you are not safe. So there is a time and a place for your adrenaline to be high. There is a time and a place for your body to send those danger signals. But it's really about how quickly can you reestablish safety. Like, let's say Gina's coaching you on your P&L and it's not looking how you want, your adrenaline's high. Does that ruin your entire day? Or can you get off that call, do some type of, maybe it's a bubble bath, maybe it's taking a deep breath, maybe it's a meditation to regulate your nervous system.
Okay. So I always talk about the bear in the woods, right? Like reminding myself to the point, like there's a time and place to be afraid.
Yeah.
It's a very valuable biological mechanism.
Absolutely.
Reminding yourself, is this a time to be afraid for my literal life force for my livelihood? Or is this a time to be like calming my body and reminding myself I was talking to a client the other day and I'm like, I need you to remind yourself that you're not bleeding out in the woods.
Yes.
And that with money's a number on a screen. And the worst thing, the like literal worst thing that could happen is you go bankrupt. And even that is like a legal recourse for the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah.
And it's survivable. So like as hard as it all feels, we have to remind ourselves we're not bleeding out in the woods.
Absolutely.
And if you are bleeding out in the woods, then freak out.
Then freak. Yeah.
Let's call for help.
Perfect
send
time
distress
to
signals.
Exactly. Perfect time to freak out. So what I like to tell people is come up with a nervous system phrase or an expansion phrase, I like to call it, that calms you down, and you can kind of use it as a mantra. So one of the ones I use is I'll handle it. Somebody can be telling me the worst thing in the world and I'll just be like, I'll handle it. It's handled. I think about Scandal. I don't know if you ever saw Scandal back in the day, but that was Kerry Washington's phrase. It's handled, right? And then she'd like hang up in their face, or you can, I like what you said, this can't kill me. Like it's okay to just say that in the middle of a coaching session. I feel really alarmed, but I'm reminding myself this can't kill me. It's okay.
My heart's still beating. It can't stop my heart. I was to this same client. I was telling her, I'm like, the worst thing besides bankruptcy, the actual thing that's at stake here is you have to tell someone you have to have a hard conversation. Mm-hmm. You have to have a hard conversation with your employees when you're letting them go because you can't afford them anymore. Maybe you have to have a hard conversation with your spouse because you have to cut your pay. Maybe you have to have a hard conversation with your kids because you can't afford for them to do travel sports anymore. Maybe you have to have a hard conversation with your accountant or the IRS or whoever, but it's words.
Yeah.
It's words. And it's like, words are very meaningful. They're very challenging things, but reminding yourself, it can't kill me. Okay. So when I'm doing this consistently, I'm increasing a portion of my capacity.
Yes. Yes. And you're also creating, almost like a barrier against burnout when you're doing this, because burnout is one of those things that comes when you are expanding your reality or what you're doing faster than your nervous system feels is safe, or doing something more than your nervous system can actually handle.
Let's move into identity congruence. What is that? Those are fancy words. Those are SAT words.
I did do well on my SAT. So identity congruence is about being in line and being congruent, which just means equal, right? Being equal with the person that you want to be. So your capacity takes a really big hit when you're trying to either hold on to personas that you've outgrown or be something that you're not.
You gave the example to me because I think this can go in, and capacity can go to so many things. I feel like in my world with my clients, capacity is needed to overcome a lot of financial mess and clean up financial mess. But it also is on the other side of that. It's like, okay, you're not financially messy anymore. You're actually just trying to grow. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at. I'm going from 1 million to 3 million. That's a huge leap.
It's a big jump.
And you gave me the example in a Voxer message of being a crab. A crab is in a shell. It's a hard shell and it's protective. And then a crab molts. So it squeezes its way out of its shell. And then it's a soft shell crab. We eat that.
I know.
It's a little soft shell crab.
Yeah.
And it's squishy and gushy and it's vulnerable, but it's growing the new hard shell.
Yes.
And it's I can't be in the shell I was in anymore because I got too big for it. It literally is. It's like wearing shoes that are 2 sizes too small. I'm getting blisters, but I don't have my new shell yet. So with identity congruence, tell me about my mind is breaking on okay, I'm this little soft shell crab. I'm not holding on to who I was anymore, but I'm not who I want to be yet.
Yeah.
How do I become congruent with who I want to be if I'm not that yet?
Yeah. I think that's so important. And capacity and integrity are so inextricably linked. They are deeply linked because your capacity expands when your actions stop contradicting your identity, essentially. And so an example of this would be, I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. Let's say you have a sister or a friend who keeps dating the same terrible guy in a different font. And it's can you stop? This is Kevin and Joe and all of these guys are the same. That would be her identity it could be an identity congruence, right? Where her identity is someone who feels like she doesn't deserve a good partner. And so she keeps dating these dirt bags. Somebody who is not in congruence would be I'm trying to think of an example. I love the example that you gave about the crab, but I think what matters with identity congruence is what I call taking out the head trash. If you have all of these thoughts about yourself, but then when you're in a group of people, you say, yeah, I want to make $1 million this year. I want to, you're talking really positively about yourself in front of people. But then when it's just you and your laptop or you in your office, you have all of these negative thoughts and mean thoughts about you, things you would never allow other people to say to your face. You're saying them in your head about yourself. It's very difficult to grow your capacity while you're arguing with yourself about who you're supposed to be.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Write that down, everybody.
Write that down.
So good, because it's just wasting energy.
Yeah.
If we're thinking about like biology, just wasting calories on something that's useless.
Yes. Yes. And it's holding you back. And like you said, it's wasting time. And it's costing you, whether you realize it or not, it's costing you time. It's costing you energy. It's probably costing you money because you're not seeing the opportunities that are in front of you because you don't think that you're somebody that can do it, handle it, whatever it is.
Okay. I have 2 examples of this. First example is my clients who are telling themselves, I'm bad with money, I'm bad with money, I'm bad with money. And they want to be good with money, but they keep telling themselves I'm bad with money. And I always talk about unbothered energy. Unbothered energy is when it's the absence of thoughts about money. It's like money's there and I don't think about it. And then I go, okay, anyways, and then I move on with my day. That's where we want to be, where it's like not causing any noise. It's just quiet. And it lets me use all of my brain power on better, higher ROI activities. But in my business, it's interesting because I'm going, like I said, I'm going to 3 million this year. I've publicly stated that. I've told people, I've told strangers in the room. And 3 million in a year, by the way, is $57,000 a week of sales on a 52-week year. So I've been tracking my weekly sales, and my weekly sales right now are averaging $44,000 a week. And I could tell myself, see, you're not on track. See, you're not going to go to 3 million. See, it's impossible for you, or you're like not smart enough, or you're done, well, whatever it is. But really, and I'm saying this honestly, my thought is, oh my God, I'm so close. Oh my God, I'm getting closer every week. Oh my God, like the average is going up. And I look at last year's average, and last year I was averaging 18K a week. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm growing so fast.
Yes.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
But when I was going from 500K to 1 million, I spent the whole first 6 months of the year being like, do I really need $1 million? Do I really need to go to 1 million? I don't know. Well, I'm fine. I don't need $1 million. I was doing that all day for 6 months. And guess what? The first 6 months of the year, I did not make enough money to be on track. I was not getting the result.
Yeah.
To your point, I was not in identity congruence. I was arguing with my own goddamn goal that I set for myself and nobody forced me to do.
Yep.
Why was I doing that?
Yes.
Because my capacity was too low, I guess. Yes?
Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah. And I love what you pointed out there of like, no one told you to do it. So often people give up on what they want because they're like, oh, they fall for what you were doing to yourself. Oh, it doesn't matter. 500,000 is so much money. And
I'm fine.
It's that identity congruence is so important in allowing yourself to want more, especially in today's world where you turn on the news, everyone's hurting, everyone's upset. There's always something to be outraged over. And so claiming that I'm someone who like attracts abundance and having, like you said, $3 million is automatic. It's coming. I'm on track. Having those thoughts is radical in today's world.
Yeah. And you can have those thoughts about like any goal you're working on.
Yes.
Okay. So that's identity congruence, not arguing with who you want to be. Decision integrity.
Decision integrity is one of my favorites. This is the one that I see my high level entrepreneurs that I work with struggle with most. Decision integrity is the ability to make quick, clean decisions. And when I say clean decisions, I mean decisions that are made once and resourced appropriately. That's a big one because I see people make the decision and then not do the things or fund the thing or whatever it is to be able to get real data, to be able to, for it to actually work out. And like I said, that one's sneaky. So decision integrity is essentially the ability to make a decision and stick with it, no matter what the circumstances are saying, doing, looking like.
Okay. So I make a decision and then I'm going to put the resources required for that decision behind it.
Yes.
And then I'm not going to change that decision. no matter what happens.
Right. So you're going to play it out, run the play.
Alyssa,
yes.
Isn't it valuable to sometimes pivot or give up or like say, oh, that decision wasn't good and change? What's the difference there?
Yes. So sometimes it is valuable. We want to use decision integrity, especially in things that are uncertain and that are not going to hurt you. Right. So we don't want, like, if you don't necessarily want to use decision integrity if you're going through cancer treatment and you need to switch doctors, right? Like, do not listen to me. If you feel like that's the right doctor for you, go for it. Right. But when you're making decisions about your money, right? Let's say, give me a decision that your clients make often.
Okay. Like whether to downsize my team and fire some people or whether to keep the team that I have.
Okay. So let's say you decide that you're going to downsize your team. Really tough decision. And let's say you then have because you're in debt, right? Something's going on in your business. Then let's say you have a big bolus of money, right? You do a launch, you double what you thought you were going to get. There's an invitation there to not downsize your team. But decision integrity says, I'm still going to downsize. Yes, it's still going to hurt. Yes, it's still going to be a tough conversation, but then I can use that money to pay off some of this debt, as opposed to using that money to then pay payroll and say, oh my gosh, Gina, I can keep my team because all I have to do is control non-controllables for the rest of my life. Right?
Meaning, like, control the outcome of every single launch that
exactly.
In a not so nice way, I would be like, oh, that's just a cop out. That's just a cop out for making the hard decision that you already made. And now you're going back. So decision integrity is not copping out. Not copping out.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay. I've struggled with this because we've gone back and forth on decisions around some of my offers, around some of my, like, the structure of my business. And maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong. The way I'm interpreting it too is decision integrity is making a decision, resourcing it, and then sticking with that for the appropriate amount of time to gather the data to decide if the decision was good or not, versus like, oh, I don't like it anymore. I feel like I don't like it, versus I ran this decision through. Like, let's use a launch, for example. I'm deciding to do a email-based launch. I have to run the whole launch with email to see if it worked or not. I can't be like half the launch with email, stop sending emails, and then do Instagram instead. That will not be it. It's like the scientific method. It's like, are you running clean tests? Am I getting that correct?
That's absolutely right. So you said some really important words there. Data. Part of being a person who has high capacity in the realm of decision integrity is seeing every decision as data. And again, we talked about fragmenting. When you are one of the clear signs that I see that you're fragmented is when success in your business makes you feel like a worthy human. That means somewhere along the line, you were made to feel unworthy. And this is your, like, shiny shield and badge to say, no, I'm a worthy person. I'm a successful person. Look at my business. That feels good while things are going good. But when things are not going well, you kind of become a shell of yourself, right? You're missing these parts. You've fragmented these parts that make you feel worthy and safe, whether your business is going well or not. The other word you said was emotion. Like, it's so important. If you are not, and this is kind of an alley-oop to emotional load management, but if you are not taking care of your emotions and you have a system or a safe people to talk out your emotions with, you're going to make emotional decisions. And generally speaking, some people can luck up and make really great emotional decisions and make a ton of money. But most of us, when we're making emotional decisions in our business, we are not making smart business decisions and smart financial decisions.
We're turning off the analytics, essentially.
Yeah. Yes.
Or like just flying blind.
Yeah. Which is really bad.
I'm good at flying blind to that point.
Yeah.
I do think, though, here's my like, with the gut-based decision. Usually when I see a business owner who makes gut-based decisions and it works, it's because they've actually, like, think about yourself as like an algorithm. They've trained their gut with data already. And now they're relying on that past data as the gut feeling.
Yes.
And that works until their business grows. And then with that new level of growth, they haven't retrained the algorithm with data.
Right.
So if you see someone who's like, well, they make emotion-based decisions all the time and it works, I'm like, yeah, but usually it's because they've already trained the algorithm.
And people, social media is a highlight reel, and people like to put the sexy stuff on social media, and it's sexy to make an emotional decision and get it right. But that's probably the 47th decision out of 50, like it's probably not the first decision they made.
Okay, so then we move into emotional load management. What is that?
Yes, emotional load management is essentially your ability to tolerate your emotions in business. Now, we know business is not just one big to-do list. Business is largely disappointment tolerance, rejection processing, being able to process rejection after rejection. And like we said in the beginning, the ability to hold uncertainty, the ability to allow people to misunderstand you, the ability to outgrow people, outgrow situations, outgrow offices, outgrow amazing six-figure job, positions to build your own business. Like there's so much emotional residue that can build up if you're not properly processing and alchemizing your emotions as a business owner.
It's so true. It's like the disappointment tolerance. I think it's interesting because I'm like, for me, it goes two ways. I'm disappointed about a result that I got that I didn't like. So I have to tolerate that disappointment. But there's also, I disappointed somebody else.
Yeah.
And they have a feeling about me and I have to allow them to have that feeling. That's the one I don't like, that one.
Yeah. And pop quiz. Other, like that person's feelings, what category does that fall into? Your business? Yes. It's not your business. Other people's business. Other people's emotions are other people's business. You would be a very rich woman if you could control other people's emotions.
Okay, but Alyssa, isn't other people's emotions or other people's business like just my reputation? Shouldn't I try and control my reputation?
So there we go. That's a great point in emotional load management. You again would be a very rich woman if you could please all the people all the time. Identity congruence, going back to that one, most business owners want a identity of integrity. If you're holding onto that identity of integrity and you're doing things that you think are in integrity, that person that went through your entire program and then calls you 3 years later and says, I want a refund because I ended up having to go bankrupt anyway, but I worked through your program. Sorry, dude. That's just like, you've used my product. I'm not going to then give you a refund. That's still an integrity. So you're going to disappoint people in business. You're going to piss people off in business. You might, I know a couple of business owners who have like had the internet mob come after them, right? Like these things are possible and they happen, but how do you pick yourself back up? How do you process those emotions? Or do you just become the business owner with the chip on their shoulder who every time you see someone being successful at something you couldn't do, you're tearing them down, you're jealous, or you're upset and you can't get out of bed for 3 days?
I love the example of having been like canceled publicly on the internet because that's so emotional for so many people. I have, knock on wood, not yet gone through that, although I'm sure it's coming for me one day. I am not disillusioned enough to think that it won't happen. When you say process that those emotions, what do you even mean?
Yeah. So I personally believe in this, again, might be because I'm a Mercury rule person. I personally believe it's more potent to process emotions out loud with people that you trust. So when I say that, I say, talk about what happened. If we think about psychology, the psychology of when we were kids, if you've ever seen something bad happen to a child, or like not terrible, right? But they just like fell off their bike and hurt their knee. They tell everyone, every new person that comes in the house, they say, do that. It's my boo-boo. Yes, they tell the story over and over and over. That is the human psyche processing what happened.
Oh my God.
Yes. Right.
Think about my daughter. She'll do that for weeks.
Yes.
Be like, I fell off my bike and look at my boo-boo and it's like gone.
Yeah. 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 Or they'll talk about what happened in class. So-and-so got in trouble. And it's like, okay, I thought you said that happened Tuesday. It did, but it jarred that. So they have to talk about it. At some point, usually teenager, we hit puberty, we stop having that open-heartedness. We stop talking about like processing things in that really organic, primal, instinctual way. But I want more people to get back to that. talk about it, right? Like say, get online or talk to your friends and say, this person said this about me. And then this, I think apology videos, when they're genuine, are so good. I think that's exactly what you need to do. Yeah. Say, I didn't know. And the people who have, brain between their ears will be like, of course no one knows everything. You talk about money. Money is very emotional. You've pissed people off before. You've talked about being a trust fund baby and all these things. That pisses people off because they're like, there are people across the world who haven't eaten in 3 weeks. And you're like, what can you do about, what can you do about that? Right. So I think learn how you process. If you don't know, start with out loud, because that usually is effective. But that I think is how you can start. If something like that does happen, that's how you start kind of working with it, working through it.
This is a little funny, but I had a software engineering professor, like a computer science professor. We were doing robotics. So it was like double. It's like mechanical engineering plus software coding. Yeah. It was really hard.
It's tough.
And he would say, if there's something wrong with your code, go tell the teddy bear in the corner. And there was a teddy bear sitting in the corner. And he's like, before you come to me, you have to tell the teddy bear. And if you come to me, I'm going to ask you if you've told the teddy bear. And if you haven't told the teddy bear, I'm going to send you over there. And the whole idea was you tell the teddy bear. And by saying the problem out loud, you go, oh, never mind, I figured it out. And then you go and do it. Yeah. And it's so true. So it's good. Like, I'm such a verbal processor. It's a different part of your brain that says the words out loud.
Yes.
And you'll recognize or learn something that you can't learn writing or thinking. It's just a different part of your brain.
Yeah, absolutely. And
the teddy bear.
I'm gonna do that in my house. Actually, that I love that.
If you're like, well, I don't have anyone to talk to. Okay, then just grab a teddy bear and put it in the corner and talk to it.
Absolutely. Or turning on the camera, right? Or turning on your voice notes, like voice noting yourself. I do that all the time. But the frustration of when your code doesn't work, that's like next level. That's so, and then took me back.
For me, it wasn't just the code. It was like the wire on the Arduino is in the wrong port.
Yeah.
So we've gone through the 4 pillars: nervous system regulation, identity congruence, decision integrity, emotional load management. Alyssa, this sounds very hard. Why would I want to do this?
I would say you have to do this. It doesn't matter what you want. No, no offense, right? Like I please don't be mad at me, but not having the capacity to handle your life costs you more than ignoring trying to build capacity. Like eventually you're going to have something hard happen. Eventually, you're going to have to fire somebody. You're going to have to hire somebody. That's hard for some people, like choosing who to hire in the job description and all that. Eventually, you're going to have to do a hard thing. And it is significantly harder if you don't have capacity, or if certain elements of your capacity are all jacked up. So I would say if you want to be a successful business owner who makes a lot of money and changes the trajectory of your family's life financially, you have to build capacity. If you want to be mediocre, then you don't have to.
I do that to my clients all the time. I'm like, you don't have to do your P&L if you don't want to pay off your debt and you just want to continue living this way. It's fine.
It's fine.
You can just keep going.
There's always a choice. Yeah, there's always a choice.
There's an obvious choice in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Let's air some dirty laundry. Which do you think I need to work on the most right now?
Ooh, I would definitely say, that's kind of hard because I feel like you waffle a little bit, but
I do waffle.
Yeah, I would say, I think the one thing that you have down packed is identity congruence. Like you are a masterclass in identity congruence. I think decision integrity. It's a tie between decision integrity and emotional load management. And not necessarily that you have these like big spastic emotions, but your frustration hijacks the whole train.
Yeah. Because to this point, I think I have nervous system regulation pretty. Like I don't get into panic or like high cortisol. I'm pretty safe, but I'm mad. You're more frustrated. Okay, that's good. what would be your treatment plan for me?
For you? Okay. So when we think about decision integrity, going back to treating every decision as data. So you have kind of a benefit because you have that nervous system regulation. This would be a different treatment plan if I felt like the person didn't have the nervous system regulation. But for you, it's reminding yourself that you're safe. All of this is extra, right? You're like on track to retire with $10 million. Like you're financially well ahead of the average person. So now you're just playing with house money. Like now you're just having fun and trying to inject fun into it and not have it be so serious, right? You're like,
ew. At that point, I'm like, I'm not trying to have fun, Alyssa.
Yeah. Like not having the decision and the outcome of the decision be so serious and like remembering it's all data and you are exceptional at analyzing the points on the board, right? Like you can look at a board and be like, okay, here's what you need to do. And so give yourself that same amount of grace.
To this point as well, I think that part of what we've talked about in our work is that I track a lot of data and I analyze a lot of data. I'm very good at it, very fast. But to the point of decision integrity, sticking with a decision, it's hard for me to stick to a decision when there's data for both sides of a choice.
Yes.
And when like, oh, well, I did this decision, but now the data is showing that. And I'm like, I will use data to override a lot. And one of the things, ironically, because it's something that we were just talking about, a couple minutes ago, is like, I almost need to turn off some of the data and stick to my gut.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember because a couple sessions ago, you were like, you need to move from data to faith. And I was like, faith?
Yeah.
Faith?
Yes.
Yeah. Faith?
You're like, no. Yeah, that's hilarious. Because what I realized was at this point, like you said, the data usefulness has turned around and started eating itself. Like you use that data to build very good arguments for both sides. And then you become kind of like, I don't know what to do, right? And then you get frustrated because you understand, sometimes success loves speed. And so you're like, I haven't made a decision. So yes, I agree. I think you are in a space.
Like tolerating the frustration.
Yes.
Or allowing it to be.
I
wanted to put this on blast because too, it's like, I wanted to illustrate for our listeners, regardless of what income level you're at or what like level of perceived success in business, which I perceive myself to have a high level of business success. Now there's a lot more to go. Like, I'm always like, I'm a constant improver. I'm like a very highly ambitious person. So this is just the beginning. But if you are nowhere near the revenue level that I'm at or the perceived success, it's like, it doesn't matter where you're at. You're always working on the capacity.
Absolutely.
I talk about even capacity ceilings where it's like, okay, I've grown my capacity a lot and I have some wiggle room now. And then I'm everything's going easy and it's going well. And I'm like, I'm coasting along and business feels great and I'm tolerating things and all the stuff. And then all of a sudden, like I hit that ceiling. And I'm like, oh, okay, I have to go back and work on growing the capacity again because I've hit the ceiling of my current capacity.
Yeah. I like to think about like there's always a boogeyman somewhere in the house, right? So you might like clear the kitchen, the living room, you're like living large, and then you go into like the guest room closet and there's the boogeyman, right? There's always something that's going to jar you or scare you a little bit. And that's the invitation into that capacity building.
So good. One thing I wanted to just say, because I have it in my notes here, that you said is capacity doesn't expand just because you want more of it. Capacity is earned every time you stick to the 4 pillars.
Yes. And I want to say like there are things that don't create capacity and there are things that do. Like logic does not. That was something I had to learn the hard way. Doesn't matter how logical it is. If you're going to get faced with something, if you're not expanding that capacity, discipline. Oh my gosh. The dude bros they're going to get me for this one. Discipline does not create capacity, right? You can do, I think discipline is more in the line of stamina. If you're trying to have more stamina, okay, then we can have that discipline conversation. But I think emotional safety, like feeling safe creates more capacity, alignment, feeling aligned with what you're doing. It may not be easy, but knowing that it's aligned with how you want your life to play out, that will give you more capacity. Integrity is another thing that will create more capacity. Self-trust, which I would scream from the rooftops and like print on the sky, creates more capacity.
Not to open the can of worms. But what is self-trust? That's a buzzword that gets thrown around a lot.
I love that you asked that. Self-trust, I would say, it's almost in line with decision integrity. It's the ability to believe yourself when you say that you're going to do something, when you say that you want something, when you say that, something is going to happen. It's the ability to believe in yourself and believe that you're going to do what it takes to make that come to fruition. So it's a lot of little ways, especially as business owners, that we undermine our self-trust, where we say, okay, I'm going to sit down and write those emails. And then and then you don't, right? I'm going to talk to this, like you tell somebody, oh, I'm going to talk to this employee, and then you don't. Like there are a lot of little ways. So building self-trust is something that is so, so, so important. And I don't think that you can get to the level of a Gina or, some of these bigger names in the coaching space without a high degree of self-trust.
So is self-trust just doing what you say you're going to do?
I think, yes, that's a very simple definition. It's just doing what you say you're going to do. Yeah.
Yeah. I struggle with that in like different arenas. Like, I say I'm going to go on a walk every day and then I don't. And then I tell myself, see, you don't actually do what you say you're going to do. So there's a lot of little ways.
Yeah.
Like the boogeyman is in a room
somewhere. It's in the house somewhere. Yep.
That's so good. Well, Alyssa, thank you so much. I know my clients are going to geek out on all of this and probably ask me a million follow-up questions. But where can I direct them to find you? Where can people find you? Where, and like, what is your work? How can people pay you?
Yes. So I am all over the internet at the Karuna Lab. That's the name of my business. So TheKaruna Lab. So you can find me pretty much, like I said, all over the internet. And I offer astrology readings. So if you're astrology curious, I do a very good job of breaking it all down. You don't have to know anything. All you have to do is know your birthday, what time you were born, and where you were born. So if you want to work with me in the same capacity as Gina, I have my coaching program, U-Shaped Life, which I would love to have more amazing souls in. So just send me an email. You can email me at alyssa@thekarunalab.com and we can set up a consultation.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Alyssa, for being here with us and sharing this incredible framework. I know it's going to help so many people.
Good. It's been a delight. Thank you so much. I will see you later.
All right, everybody. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take it easy.